Hey there, it's Aaron. It is October 28th, 2013. This is my second attempt doing this, and I tried doing this yesterday, but it didn't work. But I'm going to do it now so you can tell by the title of the thing, and by my t-shirt. This is obviously a video about Lou Reed. Lou Reed passed away yesterday after complications from a liver transplant he had earlier this year. He was 71 years old. Huge loss in the world of rock and roll, in the world of music. It's a pretty big loss. This isn't the only t-shirt I have related to Lou Reed. I do have a Velvet Underground t-shirt. Hold on. Hold on. Where is it? There it is. This is my Velvet Underground shirt. Now it's inside out. I was wearing it yesterday, coincidentally. I just decided, I'll wear this today, not knowing that Lou Reed had died. This is my other shirt. I got this at Hot Topic 2009 when I was in a travel program with my summer camp, and it's a slim fit t-shirt. Nothing on the back, it's just a slim fit t-shirt. And this I got at a flea market in Florida. Okay, so this video I'm gonna go in, if you couldn't tell by the title, I'm gonna go in review of all the Velvet Underground and Lou Reed albums I have. I have all the Velvet Underground albums except Squeeze, which I really don't count as an album. That's really Doug Yule, a solo album in name. Interestingly enough, it came out on CD last year for the very first time. I don't know if I'm going to bother getting it or not, but so I'm just going to give my opinion on the discography of the Velvet Underground and what I own of Lou Reed's solo career. I'm going to do this with the help of my iPad, so yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the Velvet Underground's first album, obviously, the Velvet Underground Nico. That is really not showing up. Yeah, there we go. Great album, one of my favorite albums of all time. It would be in my top 20. It's just a really, really solid debut album, and it's just the sound. It's very psychedelic, but then again, it's the lyrics from Lou Reed and his vocal delivery. They're just very much of the East Coast and from the streets of New York, mind you. I mean, I'm Waiting for the Man. That's a song about a guy waiting for drugs. And Venus in Furs is about S&M and heroin. Do I even need to say what heroin's about? So it's an interesting album, and it was a flop back in the day, but you know, it's, hold on here. Sorry about that. I had to do a little bit of editing there with Microsoft Movie Maker or whatever it is that's on here on the Windows 7. But yeah, the first Velvet Underground album is an absolute must. If you do not have this album, get it. I do also have the album on vinyl. There is a video elsewhere on my channel where I talk about the 45th anniversary of the album, and I showed off my vinyl record, and I think I gave the story behind it. It's a pretty interesting story how I got it. It's the first pressing of the album, and it still has the banana sticker on it. You can look elsewhere on my YouTube channel to see about that, but yeah, Velvet Underground Nico is a great album. And the second album comes, White Light, White Heat. This album is like, this album, Andy Warhol is no longer their manager. He took Nico with him. So, I have White Light, White Heat. Is it showing up good on the camera? Yeah, oh, you can see through it. Oh, that's not nice. This is a very, very loud album. very loud, very aggressive, and I really like it. The self-titled track is proto-punk gold. The Gift is good fun. It was a story that Lou Reed had written, I think while he was in college, and then they decided to make it into this song where John Cale reads the story, and then they're like using feedback. And yeah, it's a really wacky track. Lady Godiva is pretty good. What else is good? Sister Ray, 17 minutes of awesomeness. So I really like White Light, White Heat. I don't think it's their least accessible, or well, let's get this right. It's not a very what's the word? I can't think of the word. It's not very. It's not an album that everybody would listen to. It's not very convenient, or I forget what I'm looking for. But yeah, White Light, White Heat's good. And before Lou's death, they've announced that they're going to do a whole big box set of that album because it's turning 45 this year. So they're going to have a big box set. But interestingly enough, there's going to be a gymnasium show, like a big bootleg of them playing at a gymnasium. And it's a very sought out piece of merchandise, this bootleg of them at this show. You can look it up online. Their pre-orders, it comes out December 3rd, I believe. I checked. So yeah, White Light, White Heat. Okay. We're coming to their next album here, simply titled Velvet Underground. And this album, is it showing up good on the screen here? I mean, it's black and white, so that's probably the best thing I get. The self-titled album is different from the first two albums. It's not loud and aggressive like the first two albums. It's very, I guess tame, very acoustic, very laid back sort of a feel. And that's the direction Lou wanted to push the band into, but John Cale did not see eye to eye to this, so he left the band. They got a guy named Doug Yule to take his place. I don't know which one Doug Yule is. On the cover here, obviously that's Lou. There's Maureen. I think that's Sterling, and I guess over there in the back is Doug. This album took me a while to really appreciate because it's so different from the first two albums. For favorite songs, What Goes On is great. Some Kind of Love, great lyrics. Some of them make me want to laugh, like put jelly on your shoulder or something. Pale Blue Eyes is a great song, Pale Blue Eyes, Beginning to See the Light. And probably my favorite song off the album, and my favorite song of the album would probably be Some Kind of Love, but then probably not too far from that would be The Murder Mystery. That's a really, really good song. Very dark, too. So, and I have the original mix. I've never heard I've heard snippets of the Closet mix, but that Lou Reed made by himself, and it was called the Closet Mix because Sterling Morrison thought it sounded like the instruments were all in a closet and he was more up front. You can get the Closet Mix on CD. It's in a box set called Peel Slowly and See. Not that, but doesn't really matter which mix you listen to the original mix first. So the 69 album, great. And then the band's last album, well, I consider it their last album, Loaded, 1970. By this time they were not signed to Verve and MGM. They dropped the band because they were hippies and drug-oriented group, and that was a part of the new management, that they didn't want any of those bands on the label anymore. However, Atlantic Records was nice enough to sign them. Only thing was they wanted an album loaded with hits, hence the title Loaded. And this album was released after Lou Reed left the band. He left for home. Nobody knew where he was. He was like missing the first couple days, and it's like missing. They played at like Max's Kansas City, which there is a live album of out there, which somebody in the audience recorded. And then Lou just disappeared, and then when they found him, he said he was leaving the band. He was going to try and find a real job. So. As for Loaded, it's a good album. It's very continuing the soft sounds from the self-titled album from '69. It's a very tame album. It's much more a pop album. Doug Yule is singing a lot more songs than he was on the last album. I think he sings about 4 songs on Loaded. And at this point, Lou's voice was pretty hoarse. So, it was a good thing he had Doug with him. Favorite songs off the album would probably be Sweet Jane, Rock and Roll. I can't really think of anything else. Who Loves the Sun's good fun. What else? Oh Sweet Nothing. It could have been a little bit shorter, I think. New Age. It's a good album. I don't know. I'm not too crazy about it because it's a little bit poppy, but it's a really good album. It's one of I have it listed as one of my favorite albums of all time, but it's not like in my top 100. It's like somewhere between 100 and 200. That's more like it. But good album. I think it may have to do with the CD copy I own from 1990. It's not a very good master, I don't think. So maybe I'll repurchase it. Okay, and then Doug Yule's album came out, Squeeze, which I have not heard, but from what I hear, it sucks. I'm still afraid somebody's gonna come and find out that I'm doing something here. Okay, then somewhere in the mid-'80s, Verve and MGM were trying to reissue the Velvet Underground albums, at least the 3 that they had before they dropped them. And upon doing so, when they were trying to find the master tapes, they found the master tapes to their abandoned 4th album. Now, they did have a 4th album planned after, and it wasn't Loaded. It was not, the album that they were working on was not Loaded. They had this whole other project that they were working on. And it didn't have a name. It's now called the Lost Album, I guess, by fans. And they decided to release it along with the reissues of the Velvet Underground albums. And the first one that came out was an album called VU. This has 10 songs that were never released or were meant for that abandoned 4th album. You can look online and find tracking lists for what would have been on that 4th album. They never decided on a tracking list. I think they decided on which songs they were going to pick, but never what the tracking order was going to be. But you can look it up online. Just Google Velvet Underground Lost 4th album or something like that. But this is a really good collection of songs. The only complaint, it really doesn't have a flow to it, and there is a little bit of 80s production when this was clearly made in the 60s, or the late 60s, early 70s. But I like I Can't Stand It, what is it, Foggy Notation, that's a good one, and I'm Sticking With You. All the songs are good, but I'm not crazy about it like some people are, but it's a good album. And then because of the unexpected success of this album, they decided to release another one. This one called Another View. And this one it's not as good as the first one. But there's still a couple good songs in there. I was listening to it yesterday. I really like I Can't Help Falling in Love, or the instrumental version. That's a really heavy track. I can't really think of anything. We're gonna have a good time. Ride Into the Sun's a good instrumental. I really can't think of anything else. Just not as good as this one. But, this one will do. and I see that I'm at like I don't know what it is for the edit, because I'm gonna edit this. I've edited this if you haven't told right now, but yeah, I'm at like almost at the 16-minute mark. Wait, okay, I'm at the 16-minute mark. So I'll spend the next video talking about Lou Reed's solo career.